What's good, everybody? I am the Bad Duck, and you are the internet. Welcome back to another video. Today we are talking about what if a book talk book became a film, but it's not a book talk book. It's weird. Anyways, today we're talking about Miller's Girl, which is a film that came out this last weekend. Yeah, it's a film. That's for sure. This film stars Jenna Ortega, and that's the main reason I went to go see this film, was because Jenna Ortega. There's a few actresses and actors that can get me to go see a film just because they're in it, even if I'm not really interested in the ideas presented in the trailers. Jenna Ortega is one of those actresses that can really get me into a theater and really get me invested into a project, and that's kind of what happened here with Miller's Girl, because I'm not really interested in the aspects that was presented about the story, and sure, I thought it could be interesting, and you know, if they portrayed it right and if they did aspects correctly and treated it with respect, and starring Jenna Ortega and Martin Freeman, but it's a film about a high schooler. I thought it was a college student when I watched the trailer, and her professor having affairs together. Maybe, possibly. That's the main storyline of it, is that Jenna Ortega's character tries to seduce Martin Freeman's character in the end of it, and honestly, does it land the plane? Kinda, not really, maybe. A lot of this could have done perfectly. It could have been a great film overall about how it treats the material and how it delves into it. Does it do it properly? Not at all. The characters kind of just suck all around. No one is great in this cast. I mean, the acting is great from Jenna Ortega. Her acting is amazing. There's two scenes that stand out in this film that blow my mind in terms of her acting ability, and honestly, those are two great scenes that I could watch any day just because of her acting, not because of the movie. And honestly, they're not enough to save this movie. But like I said, no characters really are great. Everyone kind of just sucks. No one has any redeeming qualities, and even better, they don't treat their relationships like they want to portray their relationships. Most particularly is Martin Freeman and his wife's character. They spout on about this being like a loveless marriage, that they hate each other, that they don't care for each other, when all really it is that she's a busy woman who can't have affairs with her husband because she's also a busy woman who's working, and her husband's former writer who didn't do shit after that. She's busy, he's not. Oh well. Communicate your thoughts and feelings to your loved one, especially your wife of however many years, and you don't have this situation. The other teacher character, because there's only other teacher character, also sucks. He's the comedic relief, and he does well with the comedic relief, and the relationship between Martin Freeman and the other teacher is great. They have a great male relationship, and that's how and it's actually a accurate portrayal of a male friendship nowadays, so that makes plenty sense between those two. But other than that, there's no redeeming qualities of these characters, because that teacher sucks. He does heinous things as well. Jenna Ortega's character is a weird thing. She's a weird, like, gray area for the first half of the film, and then she kind of just turns into a femme fatale, which is perfectly fine, but the turn here is kind of weird. Jenna Ortega's character's friend is not really a character. She's kind of just there, and she's the ignition for Jenna Ortega's desires, yes, if you really want to say that. But yeah, so let's get really into the film. The story overall is generic affair story, I guess, if you want to talk about it. It's that steamy romance fantasy that a lot of people have, and that a lot of people will read about in book talk books. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, book talk is a TikTok section that reads and recommends usually steamy novels about affairs and romance or whatever. But this plot is very generic. And it's like, it's boring, and it thinks it's profound. It uses these long, drawn out statements of the beauty and the nature of love and stuff like that, or like there's just like how they feel like a ghost, and like this sounds like a John Green book, but badly written. John Green is great. He's a great writer, and the books he writes are fantastic. But when you sound like a John Green guy and you don't write properly, you sound shitty. The dialogue is generic and badly written. It's I like, it's no fun to listen to that dialogue. And I think the main issue comes here from the main story of it. Jenna Ortega's ignition is to start a romance with her English teacher because she wants to achieve something, which also, because for her, college essay was like, what's your greatest achievement? And she's like, I don't have any because I'm a valedictorian and I'm a boring 18-year-old rich girl. You're valedictorian. That's more than enough to talk about in your college essays. But she says no. And her, genius best friend says, hook up with your fucking teacher, because that makes sense. That's an achievement you can write up on your college. Like I said, the dialogue is heinous throughout this first part, and the start of this film is terrible. The first half of this film is absolutely garbage. So she says, yeah, sure, whatever, I'll go hook up with my teacher or try to seduce him, whatever. But it's never about love. It's about lust at the very most. And then, all of a sudden, after the halfway point, when it turns into the femme fatale story, it turns into about love, when it never was about love. What she thinks is love, but you never get the instincts, or there's no development into her believing that this is love. It kind of just turns into that. It turns into that she's obsessed with him because she's in love with him or whatever, and it turns into that with no lead up. There's no evidence, there's no lead up, there's no the only thing you really get is like these steamy sexual looks, and it's like, cool, that tells us that she wants him in a different way than love. So I never got the indication that she actually loved him or whatever, even though she states it plenty of times. There's no actual chemistry there or development of that love story. And the main sticking point between the affair plotline and then the femme fatale plotline is that there's this weird point in the middle where you're asking the question, did he sleep with her? And that would have been great if you extended that from the middle part to all the way to the end. Because it would have, I think the ending of the film is very bad just because it tells you what happens. It tells you whether they sleep with each other or not. And honestly, I wish it didn't, or at least alluded to the answer instead of giving you the answer straight up. Because there's this great scene at the end of the film. Not even a great scene. It's a great acting performance by Jenna Ortega. Let me say that. It's just a shot of her face going from this sad, distraught look of sadness and crying, and then you can see her face stone up and have this nice smirk into it, and that gives you an answer. That alludes you to an answer. It doesn't give you it straight up, and would have been so much more powerful if they didn't give you the answer. They gave us the answer, and it ruins the whole point. You know what? I want to shine particularly on Jenna Ortega, because everyone else in this film is either fine or just bad at acting, and I don't want to hammer on someone because they're bad at acting right now. Jenna Ortega is fantastic. She has 2 scenes in this that are absolutely fantastic, that would, in any other decent film, give her Best Actress nominations. That's how good she is in this film. It's in this film. So, but talking about the femme fatale part of the story, it turns into this weird kind of Gone Girl situation where she wants to ruin his life because he rejected her. So she's like, oh, I'm going to ruin his life. When nothing happened, and I don't know, this is a weird turn to this psychotic, manipulative person that we never saw before. There was no evidence of that. There was no lead up to it. There was nothing to tell us that, hey, this might be where the story's going. There's never that indication that she's the sociopathic type person or the psychopathic type person to start to ruin someone's life because they said no, or that she was, this close to just losing it. And they hide that behind this profound, I'm this ghostly person, and it's no, you just sound stupid. Like I said with the John Green type dialogue and stuff like that. And yeah, it's just the character stuck. The story doesn't help it at all to help those characters. When there's an everyone stuck situation, it's perfectly fine, but you need to do it properly, and they don't do it properly. The cinematography is bothersome. It's pretty, that's for sure. But I love a pretty film when it's fucking centered. Whenever, I know I'm not centered, but I'm also not a professional filmmaker, so, the fact of the matter is, when you want to make the shots are clearly set up to be like this Wes Anderson type symmetry, at least half of them are, and or like this properly centered thing, but they're never centered. And even goes for like not even just when Jenna Ortega's centered and she's walking out of the house, that this big ass gothic manor, which also is again still this most bullshit like gothic, like it leans into that like that fantasy like romance aspect of it, and it's bad because she lights candles and she smokes a cigarette and she dresses in these elaborate ways. It's annoying, honestly. And how they think that they're this profound thing. That there's this scene where Jenna Ortega is walking outside out of the manor, and she's centered in the frame, but the house isn't. It's like slightly off centered, and it's bothersome because I know what you're going for, and know what you want to do, but you're not doing it right. And this goes multiple times throughout the film. There's a scene where Jenna Ortega and Martin Freeman's character are speaking to each other, and they're speaking like. They don't really move besides their hands, and they're just kind of standing like 3 feet away from each other, but it's slightly off-centered, and it's annoying as fuck. Like, just center your fucking shot. It's not that fucking hard. As a professional cinematographer, you should know how to do this. Just center your shot. The music is this haunting gothic thing, and again, I would love that soundtrack if it was part of a good film and actually, had some of those aspects of like the haunting aspects, and again they have that for the first half of the film. They could use that, but when they turn to the femme fatale, they drop it immediately, and it's never revisited, and it's bad. It's this weird bad thing. Miller's Girl has a great story somewhere in there. There's a great structure of a story there, but it fumbles it at almost every single place it can, besides the main character of Jenna Ortega's, Cairo, I think her name is called, but it fumbles the bag everywhere else it goes. It can't nail anything. It can't nail the cinematography, it can't nail the dialogue, it can't nail the relationships between everyone. It's this weird amalgamation of just good idea and then bad execution. Maybe that's the best way to call it. Good idea, bad execution of a film, and it ruins the whole film. Besides Jenna Ortega's performance, and that's the only thing that's redeeming this movie from being anywhere near just like 0 stars. Because this film, I was thinking about leaving. I almost never leave films unless it's about a crowd issue. But I was very, very, very close for leaving this film, and I was the only one in the theater, just because of how bad this film wants to try, and it tries too hard to be whatever it wants to do. It's a very much of a try-hard film, and it doesn't do it right, and it falls apart at the seams because of that. If you want to go see a film this weekend, you want to spend 2 hours or whatever of your time, don't go see Miller's Girl. Go see something else. Even if it's like a bad movie, and you can turn your brain off, and it's a boring action movie, but like you can turn your brain off and enjoy the action, go ahead. It's probably a better way to spend your time than in this film. I loved Jenna Ortega, but this one was a mess. But thank you for watching. I am the Bad Duck, and you are the internet. Remember to subscribe. It is always free. Merch is in the description below. I will see you guys in the next video, and until then, bye-bye.